Hey, welcome back to another episode from Life for Living Well. My name is Richard. Before I dive into the topic that I have for us this week, as I normally do, is to let you know what is going on the community website. You can join the community website, or you can find the helpful resources on the community website at www.lifeforlivingwell.com. Once again, my name is Richard. If you'd like to reach out, you can send me an email at hello@lifeforlivingwell.com, or you can reach out to me or reach out to any members of the community through the contact us form on the website. So let's dive into it without taking much of your time. The topic I'm looking at this week is what I call what are the 5 benefits of reading. So I'm looking at the reading in the way I'm not looking at it for a long time. And I wanted to use the podcast this week as an encouragement for individuals that have in their mind that, when I was younger, I used to read a lot, but now I'm older, I don't have the time as I used to have. Or I have a family, I don't really have time to read, or the books are so boring, so I can't follow it through, or I don't have enough time. So I get these are the feedback reasons that people that love to read, but for some reason they have not really disciplined themselves enough to actually do it. So I wanted to look at it in a different way by looking at the benefit that are associated to reading, and by doing so it might motivate us to take a step, because hardly as a human being we do anything without intrinsic reward come back to us. Sometimes we don't always look for intrinsic reward, we're looking for obvious reward, that what is it in it for me. But I want you to look at it in a different way and see the quality that this benefit will bring into your life if you embrace reading. And if you are not active reader, you might develop this habit by when you listen to this podcast. As we normally start the podcast is to take one individual and use their word as an inspiration and build the context of the podcast around this. So this week I'm taking from an author called George R.R. Martins. So it will sound familiar to people that are fans of Game of Thrones. So if you are the person that really watch Game of Thrones, you probably have seen Game of Thrones is one of the adaptations of his books. So he wrote 7. He's set up to write 7 planned epic books about fictional stories. So this one, I got this quotation from one of the book called A Dance with the Dragon. So this is what he said about reading. A reader lives 1,000 lives before he dies, said Joji. The man who never reads lives only once. So obviously it makes sense, because there's no way you or I will live here for 1,000 years. And there is no way at the moment, even in the future, where people talk about evolution in medicine, that you may live as long as you want. But as of now, let's say reality right now, you will not have a chance to live for 10,000 years. So life is really, really actually short if you think about it. And the one way of expressing a lot of things in life that you may not able to experience yourself, Most of us, we never experience what it look like to be a person in this world 400 years ago. But you can experience it through the account of people that actually live it. And the same that the book will bring to you. So, and it is right. So let's dive into it. You shall know the truth. And so what happened to the truth? And the truth shall set you free. So this is one of the quotes from the scripture. It is often said that those who can read but do not are no better than those who could not. So what advantage do you have over someone that they cannot actually read for one reason or the others? But you have the ability to read. You're able to compose the word, you can read the book, but you never create the time to do that reading. You rely on your own complete instinct to make all the decisions that you make in your life. So there is no advantage between you with the person that cannot read and you that can read but you do not read. So reading could be considered a habit. And my word to you is, like any other good habit, you should be encouraged, even from early age, to take the opportunity, if it's available to you, to read. Because majority of the part of the world do not have this chance. Do not have the urbanization in the part of the world. It's not as rich to the Western society, where in every town at least you have a library. That's not the case in most parts of the world. So in some societies, this is evidenced due to the prominence of libraries in the community. These days, books are not limited to physical copies. There are e-books, online resources. So there is no reason that we could give and say, oh, the reason why I didn't able to read, there's no library in my town or in my city, in my community. Or I cannot buy a book. But almost most people today carry phone. And the phone you carry in your hand is not just phone that do the same thing 30 years ago. It has so much features that it actually what I call a pocket computer. That you can use it for radio, you can use it for booking flight, you can use it for communication, you can use it for reading books, you can use it for listening to the podcast as I'm doing right now. Actually, I'm using my phone recording this podcast. 30 years ago, my phone will not have capability to do so. So what I'm trying to say is that we hardly don't have any excuse to not create time to read. I would love to read more compared to the time that I devoted for reading now. I would like to increase that time. So for humans, since the days of the printing press, there has been a noticeable advancement in human records compared to pre-printing press times. Why did I say this? It's when you compare what has happened before the printing comes and what has evolved after the printing established. This advancement has touched on various aspects of life. You will not believe how much impact it has on education, law, agriculture, health, and travel. Just try to take your time, not just thinking about it. Do little Google research and see how this area was before the printing press and how it has evolved after the printing press. There is controversial debate about what separates Europe and the Middle East is because of the evolution of the printing press in Europe, because they were at the same trajectory at one point, and suddenly Europe drifted apart away from Middle East in terms of technology and development. Some society allow their people to read more, translating books to the different languages that support them. So it depends on the angle of debate you fall into. But in this podcast, what I'm trying to emphasize so much to us is the power of reading. The benefit, I only just put 5. I'm sure there's many more than 5 available benefits, but I like to make things more concise, more identifiable, more achievable for us, rather than listing 10-20 benefits, because each of these 5 benefits are also interdependent to other benefits that I'm not even mentioned in this list. So before I jump into the list of the benefits, so I quickly say that today many people can read. Even better, they can read in their own local languages. You might wonder, with all the benefits associated with reading, why do so many still not read? There's the question I ask myself all the time. So let's briefly look into 5 benefits of reading in today's world. Number 1, imagination. So what did I mean by this? Reading has the capacity to increase your imagination beyond your understanding. You will not only apply it to solve problems, but also to relieve stress and improve relationships. Because things that you really didn't know that you can actually handle it that way, you just realize that you're reading some autobiography, or you're reading some business book, or you're reading a fantasy book, and you realize that is what you're going through right now. What happens if you apply this thing to this, and then boom, it solves the problem? So it's expand your imagination beyond what you can imagine. Say that imagination rule the world, and I absolutely agree with that person. Number 2, creativity. How the creativity emerge from reading? Ideas flow through sheer reading, which breeds creativity. An article on Bupa stated a few benefits of creativity. Apart from our daily work or business, it is encouraged to have creative side projects that can later develop or enhance your skills. I was listening to one of the senior tech management for Google a long time ago on the podcast, and he said something that really touched me. He said, as much as I love my job, I also have petty project that I do in my spare time, and that's my creativity ops. And he was talking about how he's trying to do sewing the cloth with a machine, and how he design it and bring so many things to it, and is able to use his mind to do it. It's amazing, because one of the biggest problems that we experience in the world today is there's a lack of contentment. There's a people comparing themselves with other people. There's a people that they think that their life is meaningless. There's a people that they feel like they have not achieved anything in their life. because they are using other people's metrics to judge their life. What creativity do for you, it takes you away from that low vibration zone. And the moment you spend even only 1 hour, you forgot about everything in your mind. Because when you worry so much, when you increase your anxiety, what happens? You increase your blood pressure. What happens? You begin to experience liver problem. And all these diseases that we experience is more to do with a lot of things, and most of those things we can control it. So what creativity does for you, it lets you use your mind, it expands your brain, it helps you to take you away from things that taking all your attention for a while. And with creativity, you're bound to experience flow moment all the time, because when you're captivated by what you are doing, what happens is you forget about everything around you for that moment. Have you seen someone that went on canoeing with their friends, but as they are in the middle of the sea, they were worried what happened to their phone? They were thinking what they're going to eat when they get home. So they were there, but they are not really there because their mind is somewhere else. You don't want to be that way. But when you get deep into creativity, it takes your mind away from all these kind of things. Number 3, wisdom. So what do I mean by developing or derive wisdom? By reading. Learning from others' mistakes or best practices in times of career, investment, savings, and many other life cases is a good bet of developing wisdoms. Because we're not going to live here so long to experience a lot of things. And if you're a kind of person that you're going to start your own business or you running the business, there's people that are already doing the same thing you want to do. What does it take you to read, get inspired, get courage from their own personal journey? It doesn't guarantee that you will share the same journey, but what guarantees that they are established and successful business, and that's exactly what you want. You wanted to know what are the key qualities they develop over the years. It could be resilient. It could be they are not as smarter than you are. It could be not able to give up or ability to bounce back many times they fall. You only see the business as successful. Maybe they mention those businesses that is not successful, but people don't know them for that. People only know them for the successful one. It creates courage for you. Because sometimes if you share your dreams with friends and family with the best intention they have, if they never try it themselves, they have the possibility to press caution button. Oh, don't waste your savings. Oh, don't do it. That business doesn't work. But they never done it. They will always want to do something for themselves as well, but they never have the courage to do it. So your courage comes and they create a caution for you. But when you read successful people, because how do you meet these people? They are so busy keeping on maintaining and improving their own business. You probably bounce to them in a business network, or you're fortunate enough to meet them in where you share the business together, or you work for them, or you do some kind of career for them. The most way you connect to a successful people is true if they kind enough to create the time and write their experience down in the book. It's through their book. So this is where you get inside information about how they get to where they are. But what I come on today is that many people feel like they know everything already, even if they never experience it. They have this kind of confidence that tell them that they can do it by themselves. So you ask yourself, How do you know? Because the pilot will never take a plane and just fly on the sky without having a direction or navigation where it's going. How does that navigation come from? Somebody puts it down together and they go through it to the training and they develop trust over you that if I took this direction, I'm going to arrive to this particular destination. If I just go with my instinct on the sky because I know I will arrive to somewhere, you will definitely arrive to somewhere. It might not be where you desire to arrive to. And if you are a philosopher or you are in your journey of exploring spiritual pathway, that is fine. Because if a Chinese philosopher once said that a good traveler is the one that has no direction. That one is a deep of individual that are exploring who they are as a person. So where you are is where you should already be. But when you're trying to start a business and you have a responsibility, maybe you have a bill, you have a family, you put a lot of things into consideration. You think about, okay, I'm going to start this journey of starting my own business. But this is this I want to do. This I will get information from. And if this doesn't work, I will try this. And this is what you do to have a tangible result. So we get wisdom through reading. You read about financial management, you read about startup business, you read about freelancing, you read about accounting, you read about legislation that binds you as a business owner. So you read a lot and you do a lot. If you own your own business, you do a lot, and which is also good because it shows something about you as a person. And number 4, there is still statement about it can also slowing down dementia. So how does reading slow down dementia? That's the question. Apparently, according to Alzheimer Research UK, they suggest that enjoying reading can help keep dementia at bay. And on their website, so they are people that they make testimony about how they spend their time they spend on reading and why they are reading. And it's really fascinating to get the insight like this. So according to a Rush University study, I'm just extracting from their research and the outcome of their research regarding reading. After the death of each adult in the study, at the average age of 89, 30% less memory loss and are the least physical sign of dementia. Reading essentially lowered the risk and onset of dementia in those who participated in the study. So not only you just read for fun or you just read for knowledge, you're actually exercising your brain. As you exercising your physical body, whether you go for a walk in the nature, whether you go hiking, whether you involve in competitive sport, whether you go for a run in the day, whether you do yoga in your studio or at home, all of those things, you are exercising your mind and your body. But when you read, you are exercising your brain. And what is so good is that it can also slow down dementia. What is dementia? Is memory loss. Because as you're aging, your age also will be decreasing in latency. Lastly, improve communication. So there is nothing that can improve your communication skills more than reading. It helps you gather words, connections that are necessary in personal and professional relationships. So another quote that I took from Arapa website. I suggest that you should check the website out. It has a lot of rich resources as well. Another vital role of reading skills in communication is perfecting your oratory skills. Reading teaches you new words and perspectives. It helps strengthen language and sharpens sentence structure. It gives you a better command over the language. So all of these are critical to being a good speaker. So this is what I extract from Arapa website. So what I'm trying to suggest to us here is we don't appreciate how good communication is in our relationship. It's not only when we speak that matter. When we actually listen and observe, it's actually more critical than speaking. And when we spoke, and we say something that enlightening, and we say something that refreshing, and we say something that contributing, engaging to the communication. Sometimes you call some people jack of all trades. It's just because their interests are so diverse, and these are the people that they read far deeper to different skills area. So the way they package themselves, they might be narrow to one particular thing, but they also have a capacity to involve in so many other areas of things. So, as I'm bringing this to the end, because this podcast take a bit longer today, finally, there is a noticeable aura around people who are frequent readers, often accompanied by successful ventures and outcomes in their chosen fields. They are also easy to connect with as they are able to engage on many levels. In today's world, it is very challenging to create time for pleasure readings. But I challenge you to see it as a must to support your emotional well-being, health, and personal growth. 20 minutes a day, if you do not have hours to spare, is not too much to give to yourself. I wanted to say you are worth it. If you can have 30 minutes every day to yourself, then what kind of life is that? Don't push what you can do today to tomorrow. And I'm going to leave you with one of many inspirational individuals for me that says that work hard on yourself than you work on your job. I hope this message helps someone. Until we meet again next week, please stay safe and have a wonderful week ahead. Ciao.